The Lakers pull even with mini scrotum in the NBA playoffs. The Rams have talked to Miami about bringing back Jalen Ramsey. And USC football adds a lovely addition in the transfer portal. As for basketball, hit and miss. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is April 23rd, 2025. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Lovely night over at Crypto.com, by the way. Lakers 94, mini scrotum 85 in Game 2 of the first round of the NBA playoffs. Luka Doncic scores 31 points. The series is tied 1-1, and Game 3 will be over in mini scrotum on Friday. But the difference, in my opinion, was not Doncic's offense. Not at all. Look at the final score. The Timberwolves scored 32 fewer points than they did in Game 1. Now, we've been talking for weeks about how the Lakers' defense has spiked over the course of the season. 85 points is a season low for the Wolves. There's your difference. Mini Scrotum sank 21 three-pointers in Game 1. The Lakers limited them to just 25 three-point attempts in Game 2. In other words, there was a defensive adjustment. I saw a lot of double teaming of Anthony Edwards last night. I don't necessarily know if that was the specific key. But Minnesota lives and dies by saying we are going to chuck up as many three-pointers as possible, and the Lakers kept them from doing that. That is a defensive adjustment. And it's going to be up to the Wolves to make an adjustment back to see if it can open up, if that can reopen their offense. And even if it does reopen their offense, do we really believe that they're going to wind up sinking 21 of 42 attempts again like they did in Game 1? So the Lakers toughened up, they made a couple of strategic changes, and now the series is tied. People who are panicking after Game 1, by all means, take your Valium. Meanwhile, the Dodgers lost a game they had no business losing yesterday to the Cubs. Chicago 11, Cubs 10 innings. Today, the Dodgers are at the Cubs at 4. This is going to close the season series with the Cubs on April 22nd. And Edmonton is at the Kings at 7 o'clock. Game 2 of the first round in the Stanley Cup playoffs. LA leads 1-0. And what do you say we get to the news? General Manager Les Snead said that he spoke with Miami about a reunion possibility, bringing current Dolphins defensive back Jalen Ramsey back to the Rams. We know this. Snead was asked about it on Tuesday. He said, yeah, we talked about it with the Dolphins. Sean McVay added that such a deal involves a lot of layers. And then he added, quote, you would never eliminate the possibility of adding a total stud, unquote. Now, that does not mean a deal is imminent. Let's not overplay this. But the idea made enough sense for the Rams to admit they discussed it with Miami. And to not say that, oh, yeah, we thought about it, but we turned it down. No, there's chatter. Now, from the Rams' perspective, you could easily see why they would want Ramsey back. When they first acquired him from Jacksonville back in the day, they could have chosen this simplistic route, made Ramsey just a shutdown corner, split the field in half. Ramsey's got this side, the rest got this. But instead of just locking down one side of the field, past Rams defensive coordinators took advantage of Ramsey's many skills and created a new position for him, the star. He could play safety, corner, linebacker, even defensive end in a pinch. He was a one-man wild card to sabotage the opposing offense because not only are his coverage skills top-notch, but he's unafraid to make tackles, to stuff the run, to blitz. The only reason they got rid of Ramsey in the first place was due to the salary cap. And this, by the way, is one of the many reasons why I was telling you guys not to fall for these overly simplistic mock drafts where the Rams go, oh my God, and take a corner. The Rams, remember, it wasn't that long ago. They were once the team of F them picks. They would trade their first round picks for known commodities, such as Ramsey. And by the way, they do have draft capital again. They know what they would get with Ramsey, as opposed to rolling the dice on a late first round pick. But the problem is not whether Ramsey fits. The problem is not whether the Rams have draft capital. Once again, it's the salary cap. See, Ramsey signed a 3-year, $72 million extension. And that extension is going to carry into when the current younger Rams linemen will no longer be on rookie deals. So there's that. The Rams also told the LA Daily News that they will keep Matthew Stafford abreast of their plans if they draft a quarterback. Now, whether we find out about it in an emergency podcast from Stafford's clout-chasing wife, we don't know that yet. And by the way, the NFL draft opens this week, Thursday. USC, well, Tuesday was a huge day at Heritage Hall. Both the football and basketball teams scored in the transfer portals, addressing legitimate needs, but it's mixed results. For the football team, linebacker Tamir Robinson is coming over from Penn State, a traditional linebacker factory in college football. Now, to be clear, he did not play a lot for the Nittany Lions in his 2 seasons in so-called Happy Valley, but if you recall, this is still a big deal for SC because they had lost both of their starting linebackers from last year. They hire Rob Ryan as the new linebacker coach, and he comes in and he's looking around an empty linebacker room, kind of like Will Smith at the end of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I think Robinson is going to get all the chances in the world to succeed because of that. He might not be the starter because he apparently plays weak side linebacker. Technically, that puts him behind Eric Gentry. But if you recall, the Trojans often lined Gentry up at defensive end. So if that's the case, Robinson's on the field. And Gentry, who does make plays, also makes the injured list a lot, which means Robinson's on the field. So that's a good idea for USC football. But then you look over at USC basketball, and this is where the rubber slides off the road. Not totally into the ditch, but if you're in that car, you are making sure your life insurance is caught up to speed because them wheels are Tokyo drifting. Here is the good for what USC basketball did yesterday. Eric Musselman has edged back from adding bigs to USC's roster in the portal, and he finds another guard, Rodney Rice. Played last year over in Maryland. He averaged 13 points per game for the Terrapins last season, and he's a ball handler, which is lovely, because even though the Trojans are one of those positionless basketball teams, you can't just trot out a bunch of dudes with the same height, with the same skill set. There has to be some sort of diversification. I mean, USC suffered last year because, for example, their tallest player on the rotation was 6'9". So they upgraded with more height. But last year's team also didn't have a true point guard. So the idea was you get Rice, and you also thought you'd have returner Desmond Claude. Both of them would run the offense next year. And this is the bad news. Desmond Claude, where he at? He gone. USC lost its leading scorer, Desmond Claude, to the transfer portal. Now, is it a good idea for Claude to leave? I don't know. Wesley Yates, their second leading scorer, left, found the market wasn't that strong, and he winds up back at Washington. CBSSports.com reported that Rice wanted $3 million a year to move west, which is somewhat similar to what Donovan Dent got when he left New Mexico to go to UCLA. We don't know if that was the deal to bring him to LA, but like I said, you get yourself a brand new playmaking guard, you lose your leading scorer. Mixed results. Max Muncy knows that he's looked like he's been slipping on banana peels when he's taking a swing. He's a power hitter without a home run. He has a slugging percentage of .265. He's a guy who works the count and yet does not draw walks lately. Muncy believes that he acquired bad habits in the offseason with his swing, particularly with his shoulders going forward, which means if you're doing that, you're not really seeing the ball properly. He told The Athletic his swing speed is just fine, but the shoulder lean, quote, was causing me to be just not on time with any single pitch that was thrown. It was kind of just a misunderstanding of how my body works in terms of swing, unquote. So they are aware of the problem. Whether or not they can solve the problem, well, we'll have to be patient. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. How optimistic are you now in the sense that the Lakers figured out how to stop all those threes from raining down on their heads? And for that matter, what about the Rams and Miami and maybe not drafting a corner, but figuring out a blockbuster to bring back one of their best in their history in Jalen Ramsey? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.